Hey, welcome back. My name is Ryan, and it's been a while since I've done a political video going about politics. Was probably, the last time I did one was the day before the election. November 4th was when I did it, and that was over 2.5 months ago. So we're here now discussing what my opinion about the presidential reign of Donald Trump will do for unity across the country. And I was right on my prediction, by the way. If you go back in the video, I had Trump winning in a blowout, and I was correct. But you already know what this means if you've been here before. You have the glass. I have the glasses now. You watch me put glasses on. You watch the video. You watch me wear glasses. It's politics. We take it serious around here. So yes, unity in America, United States of America, has not been something that's been correlated together for a while. Why? Because this is one of the most opinionated countries of people. People are allowed to think freely and share their opinion. A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people don't like other people disagreeing with their opinion, and they try to put them down because of that. Everyone likes to have the idea of their own freedom of speech, and especially their own thoughts of opinions. But once the other side expresses a different opinion, there's a problem. That's a situation that's been going on in the United States since the dawn of time. So, is unity possible in America? We've seen it before, and it was mainly right after like the American Revolution. You see how that was unity during that time. You have usually war brings unity, and you have like World War II. Their situation brought unity with America, brought the economy up because if the economy's doing well, people like that because money and success and protection is what you want in life. And once your protection is questioned, like the attack of Pearl Harbor was, you want protection. Government passes laws, you feel protected from the government now. They open up jobs for the economy because, well, there's more wars now. There's a war going on. You have to have certain things for battle. That opens up more jobs. That opens up more money. And now you have more opportunities because of that. So it's just that simple. It's not the most pretty thing in the world, but it's something that is true. So with unity right now in the United States and how wars have been going on, it's the most split it's been in a while. Not like ever. People say this is the most split the country's ever been is stupid and doesn't know history. So again, we had a war over each other. Like that's as pretty bad as it can get. So can Trump bring unity to this country? Simple answer, unlikely. Very unlikely. Is it possible? It depends. It depends on there's a circumstance that comes up that brings everyone's opinions together and has to work together, not want to work together. I doubt a lot of people from the left-winged side and the right-winged side want to work together. But if something forces them to, and they actually understand that in the day we're people and we usually think the same type of way upon things, maybe we might find a similar conclusion and a similar answer. But the number one problem with Trump, as it comes to the idea of bringing unity to this country, is that he's heavily opinionated, and he tells the world what he thinks. He tells all the world what he thinks. That's his main stand was in 2015 when he started running, and when he went up on these debates, he was heavily opinionated. He was the new guy that went up and would talk crap to people to their face and said, "What are you going to do about it?" He did so many people bad on stage, not because he was just being a douche to everyone, but it was fair because he wasn't pointing out anything like he was taking some insults like a Ted Cruz and some other like Jeb Bush, but Marco Rubio, all those people. But overall, he was just questioning and pointing out what they've done. And the crowd didn't help whenever he would boo, and then he would point out that that's their donors, and then they'd boo even louder. Americans were not stupid. You can clearly connect the dots together upon it. These people were specifically going for certain candidates, and once you question that and critique them upon it, they don't like it. But that makes you kind of intrigued on the other person's opinion. It's like, well, they're booing them. They want him to shush. Why do they want him to shush? Maybe he's correct. And that was the gravitational pull for Trump, and that led to such a strong fan base. And it's continued on for the past decade, pretty much. It's crazy to think. His first run was over a decade ago. But it's the thing that brings him the attraction but it's also the most unattractive part about him is the opinionated part of him. If you don't like what he says, you hate him for it. If you like what he says, you love him for it. It's as simple as that. And that's why there's a split between him. And by the way, these debates and everything political-wise could have just stayed the typical formal political route, like every one of those candidates, everyone that he's debated on there, Biden, Clinton, Harris, any one of them that he debated could have just been formal, not talk back, not done anything of that nature. But they let Trump debate the way that he wanted to and try to beat him at his own game. That's not how you work. If you have a good rush defense in football, you don't run the ball if you're on offense. No, you go against that and you pass the ball. If he's aggressive all the time and tries to go after you in a very disrespectful way, be respectful, take what he says, don't interrupt what he's doing, and be formal about it. But no one did. That's apparently just impossible. So they played in his own game and he lost. That's simple. But he naturally causes controversy. This relates to the opinionated part. A lot of opinions. And also the people he selects for his power within the government. I know he's talking about, I know Vivek Ramaswamy is going to be up there. He ran for the Republican nominee. He did not win. I think he nowhere close, but I think he was third behind Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. Yes, behind Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley. And Trump had so much farther, he didn't have to show up. But with him, like, some people like what he says, some people don't. You have Elon. Elon's a lot of controversy for the salute that he gave. If he intended to look like a Nazi salute, I don't know. That's horrible. That looks horrible, though. That's horrible publicity on his part. And it's kind of tough to say no if someone says that's not. Like, if someone says, yeah, that's a Nazi salute, what he did, you watch the footage, it's tough to disagree. You look at the full context, you can see how it's not. Rich people do a lot of weird things. I don't know. He's an awkward guy from the beginning part. There were so many better symbols he could have given. He tried to show, if he was like, I love y'all, and did heart. If he says, I love y'all, and expresses like in a sign language way, something better. Just says it and walks off. That works too. But he didn't do that. Now this whole other thing happens. Again, a lot of controversy with the people that he has up there. RFK Jr. coming in for like, what was it? Was it like the health center or whatever of that nature? With like food and all that. He's going to be there. He's in great shape, by the way, RFK Jr. is for his age. So he's going to be taking part of that. Again, I don't think a lot of people had a problem with RFK Jr. I think he was kind of a nice independent candidate. And then he joined with the Republicans or Donald Trump, and a lot of people sort of have different opinions about him. Which again, why is that the separation? Why can't you just like a guy for who he is, and whoever he picks, that's just a difference? I don't understand that, in my opinion. If you like the candidate who he is, if he picks a party, you still like the guy. You might just disagree with the party, but you still like the guy itself. And then some of the things that Trump's doing, again, a lot of people question more of just why. This one's not really more of a why. It's pretty self-explanatory. He's releasing the documents on the MLK and JFK deaths and all that, which is going to be very intriguing to see when that actually comes out. It's been like 55 years, 60 years since this stuff happened. I'm intrigued. The Zapruder film's the best thing we got of JFK, and MLK will be interesting to figure that out, because most of the people a part of that are dead. But it's going to be interesting kind of just to figure out. It's like, oh, what was the backstory behind this? Was it planned? I believe both of them were planned. I think both of them were assassinated. Especially JFK. Lyndon B. Johnson was definitely behind it. Lyndon B. Johnson didn't even like JFK. He only picked him for vice president because he had to win Texas, and Lyndon B. Johnson from Texas, and he would win the vote from Texas if he put him as vice president, even though he didn't like JFK. Lyndon B. Johnson did not like him at all, and yeah. But that's a whole other topic for another day. You have the immigration thing, talking about closing off the border and sending as many people back as possible. That's not a bad thing at all. That's just keeping the standard of the law that it's supposed to be kept. That was very badly done by Biden during his time. The border was just wide open freely, and there's a lot of bad situations. And also, if you want job opportunities and economy to boost, having your citizens have the jobs is very, very important. And also, for people that have actually legally moved into the country, it's a sign of disrespect to just let other people walk in whenever they had a multiple year process to actually become a citizen of this country. That's a huge thing. So that's a really hugely debated thing. I think both of these are just common sense things. Follow the rules. Let the documents be shown to these two polarizing figures in the history of the United States. Deaths be publicly shown. Like, that's kind of important. And then again, the immigration thing, I don't think that's a big... Trump's been talking about this for years. It's not a bad idea. Just do it. It's following the law. And this is the one that gets more controversial, is Greenland. The whole topic of Greenland. If they're showing that they're not willingly going to give away Greenland to Trump. Like, that's the number one thing. They're not just going to give them away. And it kind of makes sense on why he would want it. They use it as a base. China has some parts of Greenland for like military bases and all that, and military equipment. So to take that and make them have to take that away from them would be a boost for the United States. More land, more resources. Taking away China's parts of Greenland, that's a win. But again, they're not willingly letting them do that. So it would be probably by force. That's a problem. You're not going to force that to happen. That's an ally. Why would you do that? And other countries would question that heavily. Why would you do that? I don't know. And then China comes in a part of it because they don't have a relation to Greenland. That they like them because they let them, no, they're not like, but they have their bases, some of their stuff there. And it's like, I'm not going to let you just take my stuff. I'm going to go after you now. And you have a whole other problem. It's just a toxic situation. And is it really needed at the end of the day? Is a lot of stuff really needed? I get the benefits of it, but is it worth the risk of it? Probably not. Probably not. And then he changes the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Just a lot of why with Trump. It's just, why? Is this needed? Is it really needed? He does a lot. There's no question. He does a lot. He talks a lot. He does a lot. That's how he is. That's how he's always been. He's a businessman. Each day he's doing something. Is this needed, though? Like, this has been a thing forever. It's Gulf of Mexico. It's not far off from Mexico anyway. So, like, why is this needed to be changed? It doesn't make sense. We have a state called New Mexico. Like, it's not like because we can't put Mexico in the country. A state is named New Mexico. We can name the Gulf of Mexico. That is okay to be named. And also, that changes the books. That changes the weather. Like, the weather data, like if you study weather like I do, now it's the Gulf of America stream. It's come from the Gulf of Mexico. The streams come from Gulf of America now. That sounds stupid, doesn't it? Yeah. Because it's going to be changed for no reason. That's why it's stupid. So, yeah. And then, in my opinion, I believe he is the most mixed opinion from the public you will find from him. The opinions you find for Trump is so mixed that I don't think since Abraham Lincoln we've had a president that has had this amount of mixed opinions on him in general at all. Like, even his first run was heavily opinionated, and especially now, seeing how he is even more opinionated, seeing how he is before, now we're getting a reach. Now he's coming back, so more opinionated people are about him, more extremely opinionated they are about him, more like extreme. They will, like, they have a basic opinion and then they triple it since it's Trump. If you change the name, they wouldn't care. I mean, especially if you just change the party, they probably really wouldn't care. But since it's Trump and it's Republican, they care. That's how it is in life. And it's the same way the other way around. People who love Trump would ride and die for the guy, and if anyone says anything against them, it's probably they're going to hate on them forever because of it. And if the political party, like the Democratic Party, says anything bad about him, they will hate them for it. It's just a repeated cycle of pointing back and forth. And again, this is why unity is going to be so tough. It's almost impossible to be united in this country because of the problems of that nature, of that we don't like to work together. Because we'd like to be opinionated and have our own opinions and be right. But sometimes it's okay to be wrong. And sometimes it's fine to find a mixture. And sometimes it's okay just to say, you have your opinion, I have mine, and we're not going to come to a conclusion upon it. So let's not talk about it, and let's not let that get in the way of how we can grow as people together. It's a big thing. So Yeah. I mean, Lincoln was as disputed as a president ever. They once he was elected in 1860, they made their own country, the Confederacy, and split from the Union. That's the last time I seen a president this opinionated different from the public ever. Maybe right after of Ulysses S. Grant, but even then he was respected because he was a Union Army general, and he was really, really important. So he kind of just had to respect that. Woodrow Wilson was just opinionated very badly. No one liked him. And other people like FDR was looked as heavily positive during that time. And like Teddy Roosevelt, you have Reagan, who was liked a lot. And even people, someone like Obama was never to this level because, again, you have a lot more opinions whenever you talk a lot about your opinions. And no one has talked about their opinions more and shown it more as a president than Donald J. Trump, at least in the past 150 years, in my opinion. If someone just pops up, then maybe, but now, 100%. And because usually if someone says they're bad, it's usually consensus that it's bad. But now it's like either you love him or you hate him, and you have to pick one side or the other. And the other side, if you don't love him, they think you hate him. And if you hate him, you must think, if someone likes a little bit of what they do, what he does, they must think you love him. Like, there's no in between. And then, this is my thing, and this is what I was talking about. The last thing I have in here says, an obsessed fan base, but equally opposite fan base that hates him, just a hate group. And I know a lot of people talk about the idea of like, oh, I want Trump to die. Do you know what that means? Are you stupid? Like, you actually want a president who has a cult-like following of millions to die. You know what that would do? You know what that would do? Do you really know what that would do for a country like the United States? To have a president die, first of all. Second of all, J.D. Vance is just going to be promoted up to it, which I think he's a better candidate. I think out of Kamala, Tim, Donald, and JD's the best one. He's way more formal. He's just way better opinionated. He gets straight to the point. He can talk, he can more just question people in a very respectful way. And he just seems like someone you would actually kind of like. Maybe because he's not in his 60s and 70s, and he's actually like late 30s, early 40s. Maybe that's why. But again, a little bit off topic. But back to this. Trump was to die, we could have a civil war with each other at one point, because how strongly opinionated people are about this and what they're willing to do for this. It's huge. And you might be thinking, oh, that's not going to happen. You'd be surprised. We fought for a lot. Countries have fought for a lot less than this. I mean, World War I, one of the reasons that started was because Archduke Ferdinand got assassinated, and then a world war started because of that. Just because it was that simple. Like he took the wrong route he shouldn't have taken. He took a wrong turn and he got killed. He's not even a president like the United States. It was like Austria-Hungary or something like that. Or like Turkey. Might have been Turkey. I'll put up which one it is. I'm just... Okay. I might sound stupid with the guesses I just gave. But there you go. But, again, talking about that, an assassination of a president? No. Why? And that would give so many countries opportunities to ruin us in the process. We're killing ourselves, and now these other countries can just jump in and take a little bit of us while we have it. If you want to attack at any point, that'd be a great time to, since we hate each other more than any other time. Yeah. And also people that say like Trump is, this is a Nazi level thing is heavily extreme and does not make any sense. You've not understood anything about this at all. And it's like a dictatorship is coming. But he was here for 4 years and never made a jump for a dictatorship. Why would a guy at 77 go for a dictatorship? Why would a guy who had office for 4 years, wait until the second term that he doesn't even get reelected for, so another 4 years, to then go for a dictatorship? That makes no sense. When Hitler did it within the first month, he switched it to a dictatorship immediately from presidency. Stalin, very similar. Mussolini, very similar. these guys that just made dictatorships from it. I'm the controlling it immediately when they got power. They had a cult-like following. They all loved him for it because, well, the economic rise Hitler brought to the country. So many people was shocked by it because they were getting dumped into, they were just dumped in pretty much into a 6-foot hole in the grave, got covered, and then got resurrected somehow by Hitler's incredible economy uprise that he brought to the country. So the country just blindly followed him. That's not what this country does. We understand overall what is happening, whether we make the right decision or not, as a whole other different story. But it's not like they were just getting, the entire country was getting brainwashed, and then Hitler used that, obviously later on, to his abilities to convince people killing mass genocide is a good thing, and he just did it. And no one really, I mean, people questioned it, of course, but like nothing the level here. And also it's like, oh yeah, it's never going to get to that level with Donald Trump. It can't. He's not old. He's old. Like he can't live that long. Also, how many Cokes he drinks? Like, no, he drinks like a 12-pack a day. Like, no, he's not going to live to that level. And J.D. Vance is not that type of guy. He does not have the conveying speech either that Hitler did too. So people trying to compare him to Nazi Germany does not understand how Nazi Germany even began. It does not even understand the whole process of that. It's just insane. It's insanity. People say, and it's talking about history and how it rhymes. It doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Yeah, that's not what it rhymes about. It's a completely different thing. We just had Trump as an election, as a president 8 years ago. That's what it rhymes to. Not Nazi Germany, not dictatorship. What it was 2016 to 2020. That is what it rhymes to, because we have 4 years of evidence of what this guy was. About 8 years ago. 5 to 8 years ago. We have this evidence of what he is and what he did as president. That's what it rhymes to. Not a whole other country, not dictatorship. What he did in political office legitimately within a decade ago. That's what it rhymes to. It's not hard to understand. And that's the problem. A lot of people go from simple, comprehensible answers and go to way extreme. That is way too far. That is not right on any sort. And it just doesn't make yourself look good either by saying something like that. And then people saying he's the greatest president ever is like, no, that's not true either. Presidencies bring unity together. They bring countries together, not separate. And a country that's so separated, having a guy that's the most opinionated man in the country, I don't think would do so. So, long story short, can Trump bring unity to this country? Highly unlikely. And again, unless if you have a situation like a Pearl Harbor happen that brings a random unity to the country. But also with that, you have a situation like the whole 9/11 thing that brought unity to the country, but then they went to war, and people were like, why are we going to war now? Let's just like fix the privacy, like fix the problem of like the planes, and don't let people just walk into the cockpit. Lock the cockpit. Like, that's the main thing here. And change how planes, like how the airport do their stuff. Like, change that. We don't have to go to war now over this, over terrorism. And also, with the amount of stuff that's come out over 9/11 and how that was clearly planned by the United States, or just completely allowed by the United States, then it just shows more distrust of the government, more conspiracies. So even a situation like that, you can't gain unity because the amount of questions that would come from it, unless if it's so blatantly obvious that it was a direct attack, and even then people are going to question it either way, it's almost impossible to bring unity for this place, especially not with Trump. I don't think so. Again, I didn't like either of the candidates much. I liked Vance more than anything else. So, yeah. But, they answered the question. Can Trump bring unity? No. Pretty much. It would take a miracle. Is it possible? I guess. I mean, it's there. Crazier has happened. Crazier things in the world has happened than Trump possibly bring unity to the United States. But I wouldn't bet on it, and I like to bet. But I like to bet on things I think are actually going to happen. So, put on a comment your own opinions about this. And yeah, hope you have a great day, y'all. Stay safe. And remember, God bless you all.